While most of Daniel's prophecies are truly amazing when you think of how they have predicted the future with such precision and accuracy, but Daniel 9 is no exception. Daniel 9 is probably one of the most famous of Daniel's prophecies because it's the prophecy that depicts the 77s, the time it will take until God's promises are fulfilled. In history, we've seen that 69 of Daniel's 77s have been already fulfilled, and we are in what a lot of people refer to as an interruption, and we are waiting for the last 7 years to occur. And this prophecy in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, details this last 7 years, and this identifies the Antichrist and some other things that we'll find very helpful as we anticipate what is going to be happening in the near future as the kingdom reaches the end of the age. Here's what Daniel was told about the Antichrist and the last 7 years of this age. It was described this way: he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation, until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. This information is about the Antichrist, and it breaks down the last 7 years of the age. Jesus Christ referred to this prophecy when he told his disciples to understand about the prophecies of Daniel, and he referred to the abomination that causes desolation. The he in this passage of Daniel 9:27 is mentioned 4 times. It's a masculine pronoun, and it refers back to Daniel 9:26, where we see the people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. It's the ruler who will come that is the he, it's the leader that is the Antichrist. But it also gives us some very interesting information. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. Well, we're going to see that the city and the sanctuary were destroyed in 70 AD by the army of the Roman general Titus. As we saw in Daniel 9:27, the he is a masculine pronoun referring back to the ruler who will come. But in the sentence about the ruler who will come, we find out that he's associated with the people that destroyed the city and the sanctuary. The army of the Roman general Titus destroyed Jerusalem and the temple in 70 AD. According to the historian Josephus, Titus's army was comprised primarily of Syrian troops. Therefore, the people who destroyed the city and the sanctuary were Syrians. They weren't Romans. Many people have gotten this confused, thinking that the army was the Roman army with Roman people who destroyed the city and the sanctuary. That's not what the historian Josephus says. So the ruler who will come will be associated with the people that destroyed the city and the sanctuary, which means the Antichrist will be Syrian. He will be from the Middle East, not the revived Roman Empire, as some people have erroneously thought. So now that we know that the Antichrist is a Syrian from the Middle East, let's see what he does during this last 7 years of Daniel's 70th 7. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. So at the beginning of the last 7 years, he confirms a covenant. Means he puts his weight behind a covenant that probably already exists. And we should also note that he's probably not going to make a 7-year peace treaty. It's a covenant for 7 years only because there are only 7 years left. Next, in the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of the temple, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation. In the middle of the 7, halfway through the last 7 years, 3.5 years in, 3.5 years to go, the temple is there. In other words, sacrifice and offering are going on. Sacrifice and offering only goes on in the temple of God. So there is a temple, and we're told that in the next sentence it says, on the wing of the temple he sets up an abomination that causes desolation. An abomination is something detestable. Something that causes desolation makes it unfit for use, or could be, it's destroyed. So in the middle of the last 7 years, there's an abomination that causes desolation. Jesus told his disciples to understand about this in the Olivet Discourse. So the Syrian Antichrist confirms a covenant with many for 1/7, gives Israel her peace. In the middle of the 7, he sets up the abomination that causes desolation and starts the Great Tribulation. And it says, until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. Poured out is often an expression in biblical prophecy about the wrath of God. And it says it's poured out on him. And of course, that's what we find in the prophecies of God, the Old Testament and Revelation. When Christ returns to set up his kingdom, one of the things he does is he pours out his wrath on the Antichrist at the end of the age. The only way to know about this prophecy in this one sentence and Daniel 9 is to understand all of the prophecies in the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, and put them together and see what message is it that God is communicating. But when you do that, the prophecies come together quite clearly and simply and describe a situation where the Antichrist will rise to power and persecute the people of God at the end of the age. And this will continue during a period called the Great Tribulation, until the end of that tribulation, when God will come back and save his people and set up his kingdom on earth.